Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Motivation Monday, March 14th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie Daytime. Our very special guest today is a trained actor, martial artist, and stuntman. He is 6'4", and he is absolutely gorgeous. Joining me today, ladies and gentlemen, we have actor Cody Cowell. I'm super excited to be doing this interview with him. I hope you guys all are doing excellent today. Today's look, I wanted to go for something very classy, very elegant. You can never go wrong with the LBD. LBD stands for Little Black Dress, and this Little Black Dress is from Fashion Nova. I cannot remember the name of it. I'm looking at the tag over there, but I can't reach it. Shout outs to my brother K-Tooks85. Make sure you guys please go and subscribe to the K-Tooks spot. Shout outs to our glam team here, Melanie Nalamai Bridges, for making sure that I'm right each and every day, every single day. And our very special guest is here, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cody Cowell. How are you? Wait a minute. Give me a sec, you guys.
I just took it. There we go.
Hello,
Hi,
welcome.
how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. It is such a pleasure to have you here. Happy Monday.
Yeah. Let me lower this a little bit and see if I can get this. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's better. Okay, cool. More
Perfect.
balanced out.
Perfect.
Oh, it's really good to see you.
Welcome to the. It is good to see you too. Welcome to the
I
dollhouse.
appreciate it very much. It was really nice when we connected a couple months ago. That was great.
Yeah, I was back. That would have been back in either
Yeah,
January or February.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was a really nice surprise, and I've enjoyed your shows, and it's great to just see you building up your podcast and making a name for yourself and doing it the right way, being you, which is great.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor coming from you. You're a vet. And I've
Yeah.
went through some of your records. Yeah, and you have such a prolific career of work. So
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
honored to have you here.
Thank you very much. Let me try to get these trying to get all the you're getting a lot of comments, which is great. Hi. I'm just trying to
Yes, they're
so I
rolling
can
in. Everybody's
there
coming
we
in.
go.
Welcome
Okay.
to the dollhouse. Welcome, welcome. So before we get into this interview, how's 2022 been for you thus far? I know we've had some ups and downs,
Yeah.
shutdowns and things like that. So
Um
how's it been for you thus far?
it's been good. It was of course a challenge, but I look at it as what are you going to do? Are you going to try to use whatever is going on around you to your advantage or not? And thankfully, also with my children, we made a family bond commitment about bettering ourselves. And they're both, my son just graduated college, and my daughter's currently in college. And we had a really great heart to heart talk, and they said, "Okay, Dad, you've been doing a lot and it's great, but it's really time to step up the next level like we are doing too as we want to achieve our goals academically and, sports wise." And so they said, "It's time for you, Dad, to step up for yourself." And so through COVID and now into 2022, I've really been what I call preparing for the wave, making a lot of good connections and trying to keep as busy as I can, not only nutritionally, but also in the gym and then out on the beach, staying active and trying to find, I would say, other like minded people like yourself that taking action and staying true to your word and following through. So when it's time, as you know, when an opportunity presents itself, if you're prepared, you can say yes. And even if you don't get it, you're prepared because doesn't mean you're going to get it just because you're ready. It might just not be the right timing for that specific project or person in your life or whatever. But you can say yes, knowing you gave it your all. And if you do get it, that's great because you're prepared. And so that's what I've been doing a lot of is preparing myself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. So when opportunities arise, which they are, um, I'm ready.
Yes, absolutely. Because this has been draining. And not only that, you've done some sports throughout your career as
Yeah,
well, too, which
yeah,
we'll get into the second part of the interview.
yeah.
But let's start on your journey. You grew up in Manhattan Beach, California. Am I correct?
Correct. I'm a native. Yeah.
Okay. How many brothers and sisters? And what was it like for you growing up and transitioning into your acting career?
Um, I'm the baby of the family, so I have two older brothers,
Oh,
Cass and Chris, and it was so people see me now, and it's kind of funny because my nickname is Little Cody, and it's not because I'm a big guy, it's because I was the runt of everybody, and so I was super small, and my brothers were these big, strapping early bloomers, and I was definitely not. No one even knew I was related. I was so different because we also don't look anything alike. We're totally physically polar opposite. My middle is blonde hair and blue eyed. My older brother's, well, he doesn't have as much hair now, but he's got like, fair skin and black eyes. And so we just were totally different. And then, but the nice thing is I really had support from them, which was great because I actually had a pretty rough childhood in the sense outside the family. I was abused and
mhm.
I used to get random beatings by people because I don't know, I guess I attracted weirdos when I was younger. And so I was kind of jacked for a while because of all the trauma physically and everything that I went through. But my brothers, and of course, my mother and my father, and I had a handful of really, really tight friends, helped me a lot to support me and back me up. And then I also had to do a lot of work, whenever you have to go through that stuff, no matter how much support you have to also do it for yourself. And so that was the rough childhood. I did have also a really great childhood. I've been blessed with great friendship and blessed with a great family. And so it was a really great upbringing outside of all that stuff. Very healthy, very active, really, really fun. It was a very communal neighborhood. Everybody knew each other, doors were unlocked, that kind of thing. And yeah, and then I always wanted to act, but I wasn't in a space to really go for it confidently because it's a very unique business. And I had, of course, no connections. So I went the athletic route for a long time, but I always knew and believed that through sports and all life lessons I went through, and I was going to get to a place where I was ready to go for my dream. And that happened in, I tried a couple of times and just failed miserably when I was younger. And 2008 is when it clicked and I started to really switch whatever I needed to switch in my mind because my sports background, long story short, I had devastatingly bad injuries that took me out for months to years at a time. And so even though I was a triple sport guy, I was martial arts, soccer, and volleyball. I got hurt so badly that I, by choice also, I didn't want to be so physically broken that I couldn't have quality of life because I wanted to have children. And so I really, at a young age, realized if I keep up this route with sports, it was probably going to end really bad. So I actually walked away from competing way before my time, and I had some success. But I was like, big picture. I want to be a healthy dad. I want to be healthy for me and for my acting. That's eventually what I want to do. I need to be able to physically, stand the roles that I get. And so,
Yes.
so yeah. So through the sports and all that, when 2008 hit is when I really decided to 100% dive into it and go just out. But I didn't have any no connections. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any pictures. I didn't have any resume, any reels. So it's a very self-taught journey for me in that regard.
And look at you now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 15 years later, it's yeah, it's been quite the ride. I feel um, in this business, and I mean there are a few others that are very similar to acting. whether you're in front or behind. It's a very individual experience. Like my story would be very different than somebody else's, you know. So I am happy definitely with where I'm at. It definitely took a lot of different directions and choices, you know, that I had to make to get to where I wanted to go, which I'm happy I made. And you know, that's the thing, keeping your integrity and staying true to your word and going by your gut instincts and being an athlete, teamwork to me is really important. So I look at everybody that I work with as my teammates. So that's what I've been doing too for a very long time is building up what I would say would be my team. And so yeah, so I have some really great teammates now that I'm very happy about, and they finally believe in me. And that has been, you know, a big challenge is finding people to stick with me when it really counts. And yeah, I finally found them, and it's very, very exciting.
And that's a blessing. And speaking of team, you talk a lot about your family and
Yeah,
being a father.
yeah,
How's that balance for you with you being on set and then being having to do dad duties? Because I know there's definitely a balance with being a parent
yeah,
and then being the actor as well too.
yeah. You know, I've always had. So I am divorced, but I'm very, very happy that Christina is still one of my best friends. We're very, very, very close, and the kids and I we're very honest. We've been very open with each other from very early on. And so I'm very, very happy about that. That to me is one of the best things that I could have asked for is still being very close to Christina. And Colton's my son and Chandler's my daughter. And yeah, the balance has been good. Partially the reason why it's been a little easier than I think some is that my kids basically grew up. We all grew up in, well, we raised them in Maui, Hawaii. And when I decided to um, really go for my profession, I had to leave the island. So um, I, I, I guess they kind of got used to me not being there because I was over here and they were over there. So Christina, I tip my hat. I mean, she did an incredible job and still does. The kids are where they're at. I mean, I know I was a factor, but she was the backbone of everything for the Children of Foundation, and thanks to technology, FaceTiming and you know calling and everything else, we were able to stay that connection. And so um, it's it's very unconventional, but very connected, I guess I would say. So it's worked out in a very kind of very unconventional way. It worked out in a great way because I've always told my children, um, you will have to make sacrifices sometimes for the big picture. And as long as it doesn't, and you'll hear me say that again, integrity, your word, as long as it doesn't go against those two things for the most part, then in the big picture, the people that support you, as long as you communicate really well, and me and my family have bluntly honest and brutality communication. We call each other on everything, which is great. So that has actually helped the distance, whether I'm here or there. And so, yeah, in a very unconventional way, it's worked out well because both of my children, which I'm very proud about, achieving my dream, more importantly, was showing them that no matter what direction you go to, if you keep your focus and you keep your intention and you put your heart into it, no matter what you go through, you can achieve a dream. And so it's worked out well in the big picture, but it wasn't definitely was not easy. It was there were some very challenging times emotionally for me being gone and going through divorce and you know having children, but you know we just stayed true to each other, and very thankfully it and I believed it would even through the really rough time, but it all worked out in the big picture. So I'm very 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 grateful, and the main part of that is Christina.
Absolutely. And with this pandemic going on, as you spoke
Yeah,
about in the beginning of the interview, it's even worse of being separated away from
yeah,
family. That separation anxiety, even for me,
yeah,
like I miss my cousin. Her birthday's
yeah.
tomorrow, and I just spoke with her yesterday. We've been texting. Like you said, thank God for the power of technology. I mean, people have become so creative throughout this whole pandemic.
Yeah,
It's so crazy, like with the Zoom parties and
yeah,
Zoom
yeah,
dinners and things like that, technology has definitely improved the way we, stay in touch with family
Yeah.
and relatives. Me and my family, we even have a messenger group on Facebook. So
Yeah.
we keep in touch, and I hear the notifications go off
Yeah.
and I'll be like, wait, what did I miss? So I have to
Yeah.
kind of go back and check it out. So it's good that you have kept in touch with your family, because I
Yeah.
know for
Thank
you
you.
being an actor, being separated, well, my mom and dad, they're here, so I get to see them.
Yeah.
And then my brother, he'll come down
Right.
and he'll visit and he'll bring his girlfriend. So it's good. We all keep it
Yeah.
socially distanced. We stay safe, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's good that I get to see my family
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
keep in touch with my friends. So
Yeah.
that's the best part.
Yeah. I agree. That connection makes a big difference because you need those people close to you when it comes times like that because they're the ones that are really going to keep you grounded and clear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So speaking of work, because you've mentioned work, and you know where I'm going with this, let's go through some of your catalog of work, because you have a very extensive catalog. I mean, I don't know where to begin. Let's start with Night of the Witch,
Oh, that.
Apocalypse Shit,
Yeah.
Black Skin, Before Dawn,
Yeah.
When We Were Right, When We Were All Right. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. It's
No Weapon
No Weapons
Formed
Formed
Against
Against
Right.
Us. That was one of my earlier ones. Yeah, that was a so his name is Uriah Howard and great filmmaker and friend, which I'm very happy to say. He was one of my first contacts in the acting business when I first got into it. And yeah, No Weapons Formed Against Us was pretty interesting because so I had a very small role in the first film he did, and when he finished that film, it just did not go well. So he completely scrapped it, recast it, and gave me the role that he wanted to give me originally that he had given somebody else. And that was when I got to play that really bad cop, which are fun to play. I play a good bad guy. It's just something I enjoy doing. I like getting deep and dark and going that way because it's actually a big part of healing too for me. I get a lot out. And yeah, so he we eventually shot the same film with different people because as you know, when things happen in life, I call them true color moments. You find out who your friends are. And so
Yes.
that was a big true color moment for him because a lot of people that were on the original film just, I'm out, da da da. A lot of actors were like, no, I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. I'm like, no, you're right, I'm in, man. Like, I like you, I like what you do. We're in it for the long haul. And so that the second film, yeah, the whole experience took a couple of years to actually do. And it was a really fun job and I did another one. It was a short film with him um, probably around COVID. And that one is running the festival right now, and it's The Light Dares to Desert Me. Really intense role. Catherine Norland played my wife. Tip to that, I was a bad, really, like this guy was a monster in human form and she did a fantastic job. So that's running the circuit, and then eventually I'll get my cause I haven't seen it yet, so I can't wait for. I think I have another month before I get to get my copy, and that'll be fun to watch. And then yes, Black Skin. So that one I shot with Mark Casey, and that was during COVID. So it just the magic happened, and it worked out, and it did, and um, shockingly, another bad guy. Um, but it's going to be a really impactful film because it's based on a true story. Not what happened to me, but what happened to the main character. So that is supposed to be coming out, he said in spring. So it could be any time. I'm kind of waiting to hear the update. Um, there are a couple different channels that were looking at picking it up. But I'm really excited about that because my character was pretty gnarly, but good challenge for me and the other actors and actresses on board who played my wife and my son and daughter, and then the other actors. So that'll be really fun to watch just because I think it's definitely going to cause some controversy, but impactful in the same way about appreciation. That's what I think most of the stuff why I like playing kind of hardcore characters is that in some way or form, my goal is to impact you in some way. So when you leave, whether it's me or another actor or the film in general, that you
Yes.
leave maybe looking at your life differently, or who you're with, what you're doing for work, personal choices, and you might make a life change. So those are why I tend to want to attract those kind of characters, so it impacts people in a good way in the big picture.
And I have to ask you this question because you
Yeah,
said some of the characters you tend to portray are like a villain in a way.
yeah,
Do you ever find yourself, and I ask a lot of actors this question,
yeah,
do you ever find yourself getting caught up into the character? Like, okay, whoa, I need to pull back.
yeah.
Like, I'm Cody. I'm not the character anymore. Like, have you ever been caught up in like a trance on set? Like,
Yeah.
okay, time to come back now. I'm getting too much deep into this character.
Yeah. Um, I tend to go pretty deep, and I tend to tell people when I work, um, if I have that kind of character. The good thing is I have other films coming up where I don't play bad guys, so it's nice that I finally broke the mold. So I do have bad guys coming up, and then I have other characters coming up. But yes, with those characters, I tend to distance myself, and if people are around me, I tell them to leave because I'll stay in character. That's the whole point. And yeah, there have been times, one film I did, I lost a tremendous amount of weight during the project, and I didn't even realize it. And I remember um, I was talking to my mom about just like 3, 4 days into the shoot, and she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, you've lost weight. Like you're really thin." And so for me to get thin is pretty rare. So yeah, I usually during the shoot, and then when I'm done, it could be anywhere from a few days to a couple weeks where I'm not around anybody. I'm out because I'm still trying to get my sleep pattern back, trying to get my emotions settled, and then find me again. And but that's what I love doing. I like going hardcore into it, not only emotionally. If I have the opportunity to physically change, like cut my hair, grow a beard, lose weight, gain weight, but also mannerisms are really important to me, not just physically, but also energetically. Like I've seen movies where guys have long hair and I know they're extensions because they don't do the natural mannerisms that a long hair would do. So things like that. So I try to find a backstory. If I don't have one, I'll find one, and then I'll start getting into it and find the little ticks, and whether it's a look or a face or a hand or just the energy of it, and fully embrace it 100%. And it's challenging, but it's kind of, I guess I could say it's kind of all I know. It's what I choose to do because if I could fake my family out, I know I did a good job. That's like the ultimate goal. So that's I get nervous when my family watch stuff that I've done because my
I,
kids,
that was
yeah,
that was actually going to be my next question
okay,
for you.
yeah,
Like, what was your mom's reaction and your kids' reaction to seeing their dad and their son on screen? Like, what was that?
they yeah, they were pretty surprised because almost all the stuff that they've seen me do has been really violent characters, and I'm not a violent person. I mean, everybody has a side that they can get angry, but the kind of violence in the characters that I play are like on a whole another level. So yeah, it definitely threw them off at first because they're just like, whoa, I can't believe, like that one film with Uriah. I took my mom and dad and a bunch of my friends to it. They did a premiere at this church up in LA, which is funny doing it in the church, and it was really gnarly.
Uh-oh.
And so when the film was over, Uriah came up on stage and he was like, "All right, I want to introduce the cast." And so he went through it. And when it came to me, he's like, "All right, the most hated man in the room, come on up," you know? And I walked up, and yeah, people were just like, "I really don't want to like you, but congratulations," I said, "Thank you," you know? So, but my parents were shocked. They were really surprised because they had never seen that hardcore side of me, to be that angry and, mean and violent and nasty. So, and then yeah, and then when my kids saw some of my stuff, they were just like, "Whoa, Dad, that was that's pretty intense because we know who you are." But the good thing is I was believable to them, and so that made the world to me.
And I have done interviews with actors, and I'm just like, I've seen your work, and
Yeah,
you played a villain or some sort of evil character. And it's just like when I sit with you, it's the complete opposite, and it's the same in
yeah,
person.
yeah,
Like, there's one actor that I've done an interview with. His name is Michael Taylor, and he did a crime show. And he literally said, okay, I had to kill off this person. I had to pretend like I was killing this person or
yeah,
whatever and make it seem believable. And he was just like, okay, now I'm Michael. I'm not the character anymore.
yeah,
So that's why I asked that question, because a
yeah,
lot of people get it misconstrued. They still think you're the character
yeah,
when it's just like, no, I'm not the character. What you see on television is just for television.
yeah,
It's not me.
yeah, yeah. Some people, there's actors that have, I guess you can say, the gift that they're them. That's how they are. They act, and if you meet them in person, and I think, and what I say is like every few years they'll do a role that's not them to show they actually can
Mm-hmm.
act, and then for the next couple of years they just go back to themselves. And you meet them in person, you're like, oh my God, you're exactly who I thought you were. And I haven't had any of those roles yet, but maybe at some point. But yeah, I love challenging myself. I really do. It's great. It's exciting. And other than what I tell people is, other than my children and myself, my life, um, I love acting. It's part of the importance for me also is there's a lot of athletes out there that forget who they are off whatever they're performing at. And so they are lost when they're not doing what they're doing. And an advantage I had as an athlete was I had a switch, and I had friends that didn't play high level, ball or high level soccer or martial arts that I was doing.
Right.
So I had a major early life, not even realizing it, outside of sports, and that was with my friends. And we did everything, but I mean, of course, yeah, we did like street ball, and we went to the park. We all did stuff, but it was different. And so when I realized I wanted to transition from being an athlete, it was years of depression, struggle and depression. Like I can't believe, because you get used to it. It's something you do thrive on it. Like people know who you are, and they want to come up and meet you and talk to you, and it's a high, it's a vibe, and you get to impact people. I mean, I love when I get to meet children and they come up and talk to you about something that you did or something that they saw, and even adults that have come up and said things, and it's really a fantastic compliment when they come out of the blue. It's very like courageous in my opinion. And all of a sudden gone, and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And so acting helped me tremendously because my competitive nature that was in sports, I transferred it to getting a job. So when I go for an audition, or if it's a direct booking or a meeting, I'm in athlete mode. I'm there to compete. And what I tell them is, because I've had people ask me, "Are you the best actor for this part?" I said, "I would never say that. I said, I will give you my best. And if you feel I'm the best, then yes, but it has to be your decision." Because there's a lot of other actors that are a lot better than I am. But I know that I am good, but they have to believe that I'm the best to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's part of my transitioning from that athlete to actor. It helped a lot because I know a few athletes that have struggled because they couldn't find a passion. They couldn't find something. And it doesn't have to be a sport. I mean, it could literally, you could be this hardcore lineman football player and love painting. You're golden. You're going to paint, 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 and that's it. So acting really was a major savior when I was going through my transition of, I was a really good athlete, but because of my injuries, I never got to really fully embrace that and really get to where I wanted to go, that I believed I can go. And that was very difficult for me to watch people that I would play against and win, and they're out doing, they're full-time pro, and I'm sitting there not. So it was acting has definitely, on top of course my family, and I always go back to my family, and my friends, my small circle. Um, acting definitely helped my transition from athlete to actor. That helped a lot, and it gave me a sense of purpose, which was really important.
Absolutely. And I was also going to ask you that as well too. Like, how have you taken what you've learned in sports to acting as well too? Like, I know for you being an athlete and an actor, being able to do stunts, it can be stressful. It can be very
Yeah,
strenuous. Like you've mentioned, an
yeah,
injury, and this could be scary to a lot of actors out here that do stunt doubles. I had one by the name of Diesel Ramos, and he's a
okay,
pretty big guy. Like
yeah.
he power lifts
Oh
and
wow,
things
okay,
like that. And he's done some work with Marvel. And he said, "Okay, I've had some injuries, but I've kept going." Again, it's that athlete mindset
yeah,
to keep going, that motivation to keep going.
yeah, yeah. Athletes, I kind of say there's athletes and there's everybody else. It's just we're a different breed. We have a different way that we think. We're wired a different way. Whether that's individual or team, we're still an athlete, you know. Um, so yeah, it's because of the injuries, I've had to be very um, conscious of like what I do. I haven't needed a stunt double yet. At some point, I probably will, because my belief is leave it to the professional. If I could take a hit, I can take a fall, I can do certain things, but when it comes to some stuff, I'd rather leave it to the professional and then make sure that they get credit for it because they deserve it. I mean, they're busting their ass for you to make you look good, you know. So the good thing is so far, my body has held up well, and part of that too is that I do take care of myself. I eat really well. I mean, I am a moderation guy. I love my desserts. I always do. I mean, I dig that. But I take supplements and I train regularly and I stretch and I do a lot of different cross training things to keep my body kind of alive and awake so I don't get into a routine or a rut. And so that's definitely helped. And then I've just become very conscious of if I have a tremendously physical role coming up, I need to know what's expected, and then I will tell them I'll need a month or a month and a half or even 2 months or more to physically and mentally prepare for it. So I could then go through the system and figure out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. And thankfully, um, the stuff like that I have coming up, when I know I'm going to shoot, I will have time to prepare. So that's helped a lot too, where it's not like, we need you tomorrow. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. I need time because of what I've gone through physically, you know? So
Yes.
yeah, so far it's worked out really well. And it will be interesting. Because it's funny you bring that up because I've thought about that. I'm like, I wonder who will become my stunt double at some point because it's kind of a doppelganger kind of thing. So it'll be funny to see somebody who looks like me that will do that. So that's kind of like there's certain things that I'm looking forward to as I progress in the business. And one of the things is I'm like, I wonder who's gonna be my double. That'll be really cool. So at some point I'll find him. So that'll be kind of fun.
All right, Fashion Dolls, it is about that time. We're going to get into two games with
Okay.
Mr. Cody here. Before we wrap up this interview, this is such a great conversation, and I hope you guys are paying attention. We have another actor in the building. Shout outs to Tony. Tony's been out here
Nice.
promoting his films and his projects. So shout outs to Tony Jones. Shout outs to him and so many others if you're just watching. So the first game we're going to do is called the Rapid Five.
Okay.
And the Rapid Five is what are five things that Cody can't live without?
Uh right now,
Mm-hmm.
all right. My children, my friends, the beach lifestyle, training, and random animals that I meet.
Okay. Kept at the family. You must have been
Always.
reading my mind
Yeah.
because reading my mind because family and
Yeah.
friends have always
Yeah.
been very,
Oh
very
yeah.
important to
Those are
me.
my top.
That
Yeah.
it's a lot of things in the world that I care about, but family is very, very
Yeah.
important to
Yeah.
me. Family and friends, that support circle.
Very much
So
so.
yeah. All right, the next one is going to be called His Thoughts. And I'm going to drop a name of an actor, and you give me the first word that comes to your mind about these actors.
Okay.
So I'm going to drop some names here. All right,
This
the
is get.
first one,
All
all right,
right.
yes, the first one is going to be, let's go with Michael Keaton.
Oh wow. Super rangy. Um, very unique, talented,
Mm.
um, and smart. Took time off and then came back with a vengeance with that, I forget, like The Bird or whatever that film he did that was an independent, like it looked like it was a one scene shoot the whole way, and he killed it, which brought him back in. So he's brilliant. Really like him a lot.
All right. The next one is Will Smith.
Wow, very rangy. Um, Comedians, in my opinion, make the best actors, I feel, because comedy is oh, that's a tough one, and he has definitely shown his range across the board as an actor. So, whenever like that new film King James, I haven't seen it yet. Looking forward to it. He's fantastic. He's super super good, um, and also like talk about transformation when you look at how he started to where he is now physically, the guy has just found it, and I feel he's only going to get better. So he's always fun to watch.
Okay, on the women's side, we have Meryl Streep.
Oh wow, Meryl Streep. Um, it's hard because she's iconic. So I don't really know what else I would say other than um, everything she does, she picks for the right reasons. I would believe she picks them for. So iconic.
Okay, okay. And last but certainly not least, I have to throw a plot twist in here, Mr. Cody Cowell.
Oh, um, wow, that's I didn't see that one coming. Um, Integrity, honesty, dedication, and belief.
Mm. And I add on to that vet. I
Mm,
add on to this prolific career because you've had such a prolific career
mm.
span. You've been through the ups and downs,
Yeah,
the injuries during your time as an athlete, and look at you now, you're still here.
yeah, yeah. And so just I would love to hear how you started. What emerged from, like, what brought you to the podcast? I mean, because we never talked anything, and I know this is very one-sided, and I mean I appreciate it, but I'm very mutual. So if you could, I don't know how much time we have, but I would love to hear how the idea began, and then when was your first step?
How did I start? Because everyone knows that Miss Stevie, I'm a glamour girl. I love
Okay.
hair and makeup.
Yeah.
So right after high school, because I took beauty school during my high school years,
Okay.
and I got my license. And afterwards, our parents always ask us, like, okay, are you going to go to college? Are you going to go to work? Me, I decided to become like a shadow in a hair salon.
Okay.
And afterwards, that's kind of how Style by Stevie came to form,
Mm,
because at first it just started off as just a platform for beauty, but I said it's so much more to it than lifestyle,
mm-hmm.
than the aesthetic, the glamour, everything to it.
Right.
I said it's entertainment, it's interviews, it's
Yeah.
fashion, it's home decor, it's so many different things. So that's kind of how Style by Stevie started right after
Okay.
my high school years. I started
Wow.
off very young. At the time,
Yeah.
I was like 19 years old. Now I'm
Okay.
28. It's about to be
Okay.
30. So it's a
Yeah.
completely different experience when I was a teenager. And I was
Right.
kind of cocky when I first started.
Yeah.
But I would go back and look at some of my past interviews and things. And I'm just like, the growth, as you mentioned in the
Yeah.
beginning of the interview, you've mentioned something about growth.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with my mother today, and she said, you can't change the past,
Right.
but you can work on your future.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
What God has for us in the past was in the past.
Yeah.
What God has in store for you in the future now is in the future now. So
Right.
I kind of started right after high school. I started in 2016, and
Okay.
that's how Style by Stevie started, with me just giving beauty tips, and then the
Yeah.
interviews came along, and
Right.
the topics, and the co-host, and the fashion, the whole aesthetic, and everything
Yeah.
changed. Like, we've had this platform since
Uh-huh.
2016 to
Okay.
now 2022.
Yeah.
We've been doing this a very long time here,
Okay.
and I'm thankful to see the growth and the progression that I've gained throughout the years with
Right.
this platform. teenagers, we do crazy things during our teen years, and I didn't know what I was doing. So I just said, you know what?
Hmm.
Let's change the format of it and add some interviews
Right.
guests, you know. Then 2020 hit and the pandemic came along, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
man, I hate it for all of us, all of the actors, directors,
Hmm.
producers. If they're working on projects, they don't have a place where they can go and talk about it. So I said, that would be perfect for Style by Stevie.
Yeah.
Give these actors and producers a platform where they can come and talk about their projects. Because when the shutdown happened for this pandemic, especially in the New York area,
Mm.
it for the actors that are on Broadway and
Yeah.
out there, you know, it's difficult for them as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thankful to have a platform where actors can come and talk about their projects and sit with
Right.
the likes of yourself and so many others, the Vanessa Williams of the world, the
Yeah.
Jeffrey Owens, and so many others. I
Yeah.
mean, I've had so many guests on this platform, and
That's
there's
great.
not a day where I don't go by without cherishing each and every moment that I've spent with every guest I've had on here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic. And I feel it's what you asked earlier about, life lessons and things like that. And the two things you brought up, which is really great about adapting and evolving. I think that's
Mm,
super important on the platform because as an actor and as a person who is a show host, um, is times change. And if you can evolve what you're doing and adapt to what's going on, it just allows a lot more growth. And then yeah, you can look back. When I look back at some of my things, I'm like, oh my God. But that's where I was back then. And that's part of it. Then you can look where you are now and you're like, wow, I've really found myself and I'm more confident and more at ease and more centered. And so it's fun to have the technology we have now that we can look back on it and go, wow, I really appreciate all the steps and all the places I went to get to where I am today. And then, of course, it's super exciting about what we don't know that's going to come our way.
whatever's in the horizon. And you
Yeah.
said one day, something else you said too when we were talking about, you know, what's coming for me in the future, when you were talking about your stunt man and, you know, what's coming for me next. I'm the
Yeah.
type of person, I like to manifest
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I do vision boards. A
I've
lot of
got that
people
in
are
my
just like,
room.
well, me too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at mine right there.
Yeah.
I did a vision board for
Hmm.
2022 back in 2021.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I said, okay, I want this. I want this. I've had some challenges and some obstacles, but I'm like, okay, we can work on this a little bit and we can get this. And I'm just, as I'm going, I look at my board every day. I come in my room and I see different things that could be improved. And
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
don't put too much hard. My mom was just telling me this. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
But I can't help it. I'm a
Yeah.
perfectionist. It's the perfectionist in
Yeah.
all of us. We have a little bit of perfectionist
Yeah.
somewhere in there in us where it's just like we want everything to be perfect. And
Right.
I'm just like, okay, that's not reality. Everything can't be perfect all
Right.
the time. You're going to have some flaws along
Yeah.
the way. You
Yeah.
know, there's going to
Yeah.
be some nicks and some crannies you can
Yeah.
work on.
Well, and I agree. That's something that I was thinking about earlier. Um, Perfection is it's scary with a lot of people. Um, what I found early for me, just with really early when I was a kid, I've always said my imperfections are what makes me, and
Mm,
I wouldn't change anything about me because that would make me not me. And so, how I'm built, how I look, I mean, of course, yeah, I'll change stuff like weight, hair, that kind
yeah,
of stuff. But I just feel that when someone looks at me, the reason why I'm myself is because I'm imperfect, and that's what allows me to be who I am. And I became okay with that um, a while ago, which helped because, um, especially in this business, one of a TV show I did a long, long time ago. A guy came who was one of the main actors, and we became, I guess you would say, friends on the show. Really cool guy, and I was very young, and he was older, so more of a mentor. And he said, um, so are you an actor? And I said, well, that's my goal. This is one of my first ones I've ever
Mhm.
done, and I'm really happy to be here. It's a cool experience. And I said, what about you? He's like, yeah, I'm a big character actor, so I get characters all the time and different stuff. I'm like, oh, that's great. He said, what about you? And I went, well, I'm not sure. And he said, well, the one thing I'll tell you is, as you grow in this business, if you decide to stay, figure out the kind of actor you are and make sure that you understand how people see you. And so um, I realized early on that I was a lead actor. And that is a challenge because being a lead, there is a lot of pressure on you. And like I've lost a lot of other lead roles to bigger names. And that was very challenging for me. At first, I'm like, woohoo, I lost this role to this person. But then I'm like, that sucks. Like, when do I get my break? When do I find those people that believe in me enough to say, no, Cody,
Right.
you're our guy, and we're keeping you when the money comes in, you know? And so figuring out who you are, and like I've done co-star and I've done supporting, I've done walk-on because I don't believe in limitations. If I'm drawn to a very small character that just draws me in, I'll do it in a second, you know? But I want to look at a lead role because I like that teamwork. Because I'll also realize when it comes to lead actors, you have to be good, but your team has to be right there with you.
Absolutely.
Because you look at any big film and you look at the co-stars and the supporting characters, those are super, super, super important to keep the lead actors going, you know? And so having that conversation really early with that guy way back in the day helped me understand. And my brothers also said kind of the same thing. And this is way before acting. Is I was in the kitchen one day and I was really young. And my oldest brother, Chris, came up to me and he's like, hey, Cody. I'm like, yeah. He goes, are you a leader or a follower? And of course, being the cocky little runt that I was, I'm like, yeah, I'm a leader. And he goes, why? And I'm like, ooh, I didn't expect that. But then I said, well, because I know when to lead and I know when to follow. And he said, that's great. So it's very important that in this business, and this goes for anybody, whether you're a writer, director, but for acting, is to be able to see yourself clearly. And if you're a lead, if you're a co-star, if you're a character lead, if you're a character co-star, if you're a character supporting, great, embrace it, 100% charge it, you know, and use your imperfections to your advantage because that's what's going to make you remembered and make people want to work with you and be who you are. You know, like with me, even though, like we talked about earlier, depending on the character, if I'm in that gnarly phase, um, I'm not going to be around a lot of people, and people won't get to know me until like the movie's over, kind of a thing. But be you, you know, and that's the most important part. Is like you when you do your show, I can tell you're being you, and you being genuine is the most drawing thing for me personally because that allows me to want to talk to you and then hear from you because that's the fun part is we're just being ourselves and having a good time and sharing our stories and impacting other people and hopefully allowing these stories to help other people, maybe give them a good direction or get a piece of information that they might not have thought of. And some of these comments, you know, I'll be able to look back and read and pick things up from that too. So it's nice to connect with another like-minded person who's also very passionate, clearly, and wants to succeed and is succeeding. And but you're succeeding being you, and that's fantastic.
Authenticity is key, and I tell people that all the time. Humble yourself along the way. You know, never
Yeah,
lose sight of who you are. Stay true to who you are, and never lose sight of that.
yeah, yeah. Which could be hard at times because sometimes you
Yes,
get distracted and pulled in different directions. But I feel that's kind of like when you get checked, and that also comes back. I know it's shocking. Family and friends, like they're the ones that are going to be like, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, all right, I'm back, I'm back,"
right.
you know? Yeah, and that's the best part is like being able to share your experiences, and as your life changes, the people closest to you can change with you, and that's fantastic. I love being able to share my my highs, and of course you share your lows too, but it's great to celebrate with the people that have believed in you through the ups and the downs, and they get to cherish it with you, which is great.
Absolutely. 100%. All right, Fashion Dolls, our interview is coming now to a close, and I'm going to let Mr. Cody here take us away with some words of encouragement. What advice would you give to up and coming actors, and not just actors, but
Uh-huh.
athletes as well too? What piece of advice would you give them, and where can everyone find you and follow you if you have any projects coming up?
Um, to if you want to see what I have coming up, you can go like IMDb Pro or IMDb and search Cody Cowell. Um, I think there's a couple others, but there's not many, so it's kind of easy to find me. That would be the best venue to see what I have coming up that's updated. Um, wow, for athletes and actors, athletes, um, put the time in and just go after it with a force of nature that can't be stopped. Listen to your body, take the time to rest, eat well, and just train your asses off. Um, acting. So, okay, we didn't bring this up, but real quick, I made it as an actor with no representation. So it's a very different story for me because no one has helped me. I've never gotten one job from an agent. I've gotten everything on my own. I do all my contracts, all my negotiations, everything. So a lot of times when people get into acting, oh, I'm going to get an agent. I'm going to get a manager. I only want to do paid work. Um, don't don't jump on that bandwagon to try to get representation. Don't just look for paid work. Look for work that's going to challenge you as an actor so you find out who you are, or an actress, either way. Um, do student films, do any kind of job that you're drawn to for you're learning for yourself, the potential connection. You might be able to get some stuff for your reel, which does help. And then in time, yes, you'll probably start getting paid and you might find a good manager or a good agent, but do the work and just get out there and put yourself out there, call people up. Don't wait. You got to take action. There's a lot of social sites that you can search and get people's contact information, and you could just email them or call them and introduce yourself,
Yes.
and simple as that. But just get out there and do it. If you have a great coach or an acting school, that's a bonus. It's a really important thing. It does help. But yeah, just get out there and find work for you that challenges you, gets you out of your comfort zone, and pushes you to see where you're at. And then yeah, just go all heart, wholeheartedly. Oh, and
Absolutely.
get out of your comfort zone. Don't be comfortable.
Yes, and I love what Matt Pucker 2002 just said, which was be true,
Yeah,
stay true to who you are,
yeah,
100%. And she
100%.
also says that this guy is a rock star in disguise.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's what I would say. And I just want you to know, I greatly appreciate this, Stevie. This has been, and I just want you to know also, you are my first official person to ever want to interview me. So thank you for that. I was so taken by it. So I wanted to make sure I brought that out, that I really appreciate it because no one has reached out to me. Not, it is that it's a perk. Okay. Also, perks to passion. Keep your passion, everybody. Understand your perks. Perks are the
Oh,
bonus.
yeah.
Keep your passion. Keep your passion. But so this was a great passion because I didn't expect it. And so I just want you to know that I greatly appreciate this. And it's great that you believed in me enough that you wanted to get me on here. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
Cody, you're not gonna make me cry now. I got to keep my beautiful face. You're not gonna make me cry. And again, it is such an honor to have you here.
Thank
Like
you.
you have such a prolific career of work,
Thank you.
and it's just like it's so unreal to have you here,
Well, I would like to
and the
do this again
goodness.
too, as things progress and there's more things that we can share on both sides, because I also would like to hear more from you as well. It'd be great to reconnect again down the road and have a second podcast show with you. I would really love that.
I definitely would, and this won't. Don't be a stranger. This
Yeah,
won't be the last.
yeah,
Definitely.
100%. Well, I really greatly appreciate it, Stevie, and you look amazing. Keep up the amazing work, and I really look forward to the next time we get a chance to talk.
You too, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cody Cowell. This was such an amazing conversation, and this will be up tomorrow. We have actor Markel Williams
Nice.
also joining us.
Right on.
Thank you all so much. Take
Okay.
care.
Bye, Stevie.
Take care.